Montel Ellen, how you doing, man? It's Team No Sleep. I didn't know if you were aware of that, but it's Wednesday night.
What you mean?
What I leave you breathless, then I leave you like a holding call there on the Super Bowl. There, you didn't know what to say there.
Usually
Okay,
it was a pause,
okay.
man.
You
Thank you,
know,
everybody, for coming to Team No Sleep. I mean, our pleasure for you guys to always come and join us.
don't be nervous now. Don't get
You
nervous.
know, oh man, I'm far from nervous. I think it's Wednesday night. We're blessed. We always blessed to see another day. I'm happy, ready to go, ready to rock. Shout out to my son. It's official. He's a defensive coordinator at University of Chicago,
What?
prestigious University of Chicago.
Yes, sir.
Excellent school, academics. I had the pleasure to go to Chicago this last couple of days, last weekend, and walk around and see everything. Very, very impressed what's going on out there. Love that city of Chicago, man. Beautiful. Shout out to Gary, Indiana. That's 19 miles away. Can't forget
it's cold there, though. It's cold there.
Yeah, it's cold, but it's all right, man. We got to live in all terrains, so we good. So shout out to my son, like I said, my son in Southwest Minnesota, Blake, and everybody around. And then congratulations to a friend of the family, Connor Gerhardt. He just got married. Man, just keeping it popping and moving, man.
Look at you. You keep it active. I love it. I love it. I see folks chiming in and pulling in. I see Hicks Senior in the building, so the show can officially begin. I see my man Chief here, bruh. So Chief, you asked last week about a specific topic. You asked about eSports. We got something for you tonight, brother. We got some folks behind the scenes, so make sure you stay logged in and you bring your questions because we got some folks. Listen, without further ado, tell a friend. Come on now, share the link, do all that. Listen, without further ado, because I can ramble and I can talk forever. I'm gonna go ahead and bring folks on, and I'm gonna let them do the honors of giving their background story, of giving their origin story, and things of that nature. But let's go ahead on here and get this party started. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Amy Ches.
It's Ches.
Oh my goodness, I got it right. and Mr. Gordon Hinkle, good to see you guys. Appreciate you for joining Team No Sleep here on this Wednesday evening. Listen, let me go ahead and start ladies first, and let's get these introductions out of the way so that our community knows who it is that we're dealing with. And Dr. Amy, if you don't mind going first, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So my name's Dr. Amy Ches. I'm CEO of Intent Brands, bringing SLY to the gaming community and players everywhere. We've just launched, and I've been an eye doctor for about 22 years, and I think I've helped about 80,000 people now focus, see, and sleep better. And during the pandemic, found a lot of people who were really struggling with sleep-wake cycle, difficulty with focusing, having a whole lot of issues in front of screen time. And I wanted to help do something about it. So started developing prototype drinks that help us align better with our circadian rhythm or sleep-wake cycle. We were picked up by Team USA from our prototype, became an official drink partner, and we were discovered by some veterans in the video game industry who came to us and said, can you please really help us with gamers and players, because you can make a real positive impact. So that's how we came here, and I'm just happy to be here with all of you tonight.
Awesome. Listen, let's not be humble there. Yeah, we've been picked up by. Did you hear that, Montel? We've been picked up by Team USA.
Yeah, that's okay. And that's modesty for you right there.
I know my LinkedIn profile is dope, but Dr. Amy said, we gonna be with the Olympics, and you and Gordon just got back from a special event as well this past week. So first of all, Dr. Amy, appreciate you for being here, and Gordon, if you don't mind telling us who you are and what it is that you do as well, sir, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, James and Montel, for having me on. My name is Gordon Hinkle. I'm the president of College Esports International, and we put on large-scale esports events for the college scene. And what we really are focused on is bridging career pathways with esports for the students. So we use large productions and events and tournaments as a way to educate and really bring students information on how they can use esports to get into tech industry, to find jobs, just find out the innovations that are happening out there. So there's a huge tie-in with career pathways with College Esports International. We also use a lot of pro athletes in our events to kind of showcase the competitive nature of esports and the growth and what's happening in the scene. And our other goal is to elevate the collegiate esports scene to a higher level. And we're actually in Las Vegas right now, getting ready to do a big tournament. Very excited. We're at the Level Up Expo here at the Convention Center and ready to do some Rocket League.
Love it. Folks, listen, we don't mess around, right? We got the A team on here tonight to talk about their respective industries, and again, things around sports, things around collegiate athletics, and things of that nature. We are going to get into that, but we have to start with specific stories that touch on social impact of sport, and we've already briefed Gordon and Dr. Amy on where we're going tonight. So it's going to be interesting to hear some different perspectives. Let's just go ahead and get into some of that right now. Basketball, college basketball, New Mexico State, men's basketball to be more specific. Things are going on over there. Well, they were playing, but they're no longer playing. They got caught up into some hazing situations. The entire season has been canceled. And it's not just the players, right? What it all comes back to as well, even the coaches knew about this. So inappropriate behavior. They got the coaches and administrative staff that's on leave now. I mean, what do you guys think about this? When you see a story like this, and we all work with, again, youth, we all work with athletes, we all work with folks within this particular industry and genre. When you see that this is kind of starting not just in the locker room, but this is starting in the office, right? That mentality and that mindset is reverberating down from the coaches and folks that are in leadership positions to these young men. Who's to blame? Who's at fault? And what do you think about when you first, saw this story? Let's start with you, Dr. Amy, if you don't mind.
Where's the parent in the room? That's the first thing that I say, in something like that is, being a doctor, you're in a position in the community where people, trust you. And I think about all of those, parents and players that put faith and trust into those leadership positions and those coaches and that staff. You're sending those kids to play with a team because you expect them to learn those life skills in a safe environment. And it's just a complete dereliction of your public trust and duty from that coaching and admin staff. It's really it's worse than a shame to me. Yeah. It's just completely ridiculous.
Yeah. Gordon, your thoughts on this again? Because listen, we've grown up together with our kids have grown up together, so we know, and we've seen different levels of college athletics and things of that nature. I mean, if you were at one of your kids' sporting events, let's make it home. Let's make it personal, right? And you found out and you heard about something of this nature. What's kind of the thought that goes through your mind?
I just saw this story the other night, and it's heartbreaking. I have a daughter in college, as you know, so do you. And when you send your kid off to school, you're expecting that they're going to learn, they're going to take on the world, and the people that you're trusting most are the ones that are breaking that trust. That's just, I can't accept it. That whatever punishment comes down, I think, is deserved, because that's the ultimate abuse of trust when you're dealing with young minds and young people and abusing that situation. So to me, it's unfathomable, and it sickens me.
Yeah. Montel, how do we deal with this, man? How do we deal with this type of a story?
Well, I mean, first you got to peel back the layers of the onion of this whole thing. There's obviously, this is a big problem, but there's a culture there at New Mexico State that is bad, and it's surrounding this basketball team. Before this hazing incident, there was one of those players involved in a shooting, right, several weeks ago. So there's a culture there that is not constructive the right way. It's not constructive either of discipline, or these kids feel they can run rampant. I'm not opposed to a little bit of hazing. I'm really not. I think that belongs team bonding and all that stuff. But this kind of hazing is out of control. This is more sexual. They assaulted the young man in the locker room, and they did it several times. And this time they became really, really bad before he kind of, blew a whistle on what everything's going on. The hazing we were growing up was maybe shave your head to be team bonding, or we all got to wear, you get taken to a goalpost. Things that were friendly, that was in the nature of violating somebody's their personal rights or their sexual rights. It was more of a thing that let's bond. We're all going to shave our heads, right? We're all going to participate in this because that shows a solidarity and a brotherhood. I'm all right with that, and I am all right to this day. That's fine. I don't mind that. I think the culture there allowed them to cross the line, and those coaches allowed them to cross the line. That's when we run into this problem. This is where the problem starts to lie into there. And you're saying, how do we fix it? You have to cut out the cancer. You have to get rid of it. Now, this either got to be at the player. First, it starts at the player level. It starts definitely at the coach's level. Then it starts at the administrative level. You got to figure out where all these are going on. until you find out where the source of this cancer is growing in that culture, get rid of it, and then start all over again. It's unfortunate for the kids that didn't do anything wrong lose out on their season. Remember, some of those guys are seniors.
Yeah.
They'll never get a chance to play again. This is their last hoorah. Some of these kids have already talking about transferring. So now the culture is even more damaging, right? And now you can't get recruits in there anymore because of the culture that's been displayed. No one wants to go there. They got a really big problem in New Mexico State that really needs to be fixed. And I think that the allegation needs to be go beyond just the school. It needs to go on to not only to local authorities, campus police, and within administration. The president needs to launch an investigation as well. I'm like, what's really going on here? Because we have to understand, bottom line of all this, money's involved. There's an opportunity for you to play into the tournament. You play into the tournament, there's big money involved when it gets to playing in the tournament. And you just eliminated this before we even got to our divisional tournament. So we lost all kinds of TV revenue. Yeah. So the investigation is not just saying, hey, for the greater of the good sake, for a school and an institution and a business-wise, you just messed up my money.
Yeah. So think about this, right? I don't know if this is where you were going to go, Gordon, right? This probably limits the chance and probability of someone like CESI, someone like SLY, I'm pointing the wrong way, right? Go into this school and wanting to do business with. So again, right, when we're talking about the money aspect, right? This may limit their ability to gain some sponsorships and revenue from you, and also vice versa. So
unfortunately, we're seeing this far too often, where you see these situations and they're doing a cover up because it just becomes another PR issue for the school. Instead of looking at the heart of the issue and how do we address it and fix it, you sweeping it under the rug, and pretty soon that pile of dirt is so thick it's going to come out, and so that's what we're seeing now. But I think that, like you said, it's so many levels to the onion that have to be peeled, and now they're in a big mess, and it's gonna hurt them for years and years to come. Like you said, the recruiting will be down. They were having a lot of success in tournaments and basketball, knocking off some big players. They're on the rise, but something like this really sets back a program for a long time. And for the way we look at it from esports too, like we're not going to want to be tied or associated with the school that's doing those kind of things, whether it's in sports or whether it's another sport, so it doesn't just hurt the basketball program. It hurts the whole school and all the programs. So it's really unfortunate for those other teams and other kids who are kind of, getting some of the fallout from it.
That's the conversation right there. Go ahead, Dr. Amy. I apologize.
I was just going to add to exactly what you were saying there, Gordon and Montel, that, there's something about not just the other players who weren't involved, but I think about, all the event people and the camera people and the people who have all of these other businesses that depend on sports and merchandising and other things where people make their livelihoods based on sports, even when they're not directly involved in sports. And we kind of forget about the tentacles that bind us together, and really that community is built around sports. And when sports get injured because of bad decisions and bad leadership, it doesn't just reverberate to those people, it reverberates to a lot of other people who were not involved, and they end up getting injured in the wake too. And it's very similar in a way to some of the things about Ohio State that had happened, with wrestling, and you look at Michigan, and you look at all of these other things that sort of were in the news years ago, but they will continue to be problems for these universities. And it's a bigger problem than just one school. There's some missing morals and culture and really good teaching that need to be there. It's not just about the sport. It's also about being a good person. And unfortunately, that's being overlooked.
Listen, we got doctors on the show today. Y'all, hopefully y'all are recording this, because we got Dr. Amy just dropping it on. That just hits to everything that we go into about the social impact of all of these types of stories. And again, having those harder conversations. And I know, Montel, I know you want to get into a little bit more, but I want to set precedents for. We've got a ton of folks that are joining that are probably new, coming from Dr. Amy and Gordon's communities and things of that nature. So this is what we talk about, folks. We go beyond just the score. We're going to probably talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the Rihanna concert. We're going to get into all of that. But this right here gets missed in a lot of the news cycle because it's not as sexy. But it's more important, I think, to have these conversations as to, like the word that Montel used, cut out the cancer of what's happening within the system. Where is the adult in the room, like Dr. Amy was saying, and like Gordon was saying, listen, this is costing New Mexico money. I'm not bringing CESI over there now to work with you until you clear this up, until you figure this out. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Montel.
No, I'm more. I'm the coaching. The coaching is really concerning to me in this aspect, in this particular situation, because, like I said previously, I already had an isolated incident where one of the players were involved in a shooting. Now you have with this continued hazing on this other athlete, that did the whistleblowing and brought together this investigation. I'm really concerned about if a coach knew about this, there's something that needs to be investigated. And I go deeper than it. It's not just a coach staff, it's a culture. There's a culture, like if you build a solid culture, because we can talk about teams that have isolated incidents and they're able to overcome it and do things. New Mexico State has a problem because this is continuously happening to them and their system. So I'm saying that onion that has to be peeled back has to be really digested and looked into, and they can't wipe this under the rug anymore because now we have social media and these media outlets. Something needs to be done, and it needs to be an outcry. Because what's happening in New Mexico happens in other schools. Maybe not as prevalent or maybe not as popular because they're a big-time Division I program, but it happens in other schools. And I'm challenging more schools and more administrators, and not just athletic administrators, more administrators, to really start to attack the problem and investigate and figure out what's going on. Because we're doing a disservice to these young athletes and these young people that are being part of this school, representing this school, making money for this school, no matter what level they are, and they're still letting them fester in this ugly culture without them trying to clean it up. And it's starting to become a bad taste in our mouth because we're getting these stories over and over and over and over again. So
that's what I was going to ask you. Do you guys think that this is more a societal thing? Because we're seeing this more even at the local level.
Come on now. There you go, Gordon. You getting into it.
In our own community, we had 2 high school football teams that were involved in hazing with some terrible stuff. I won't even go into the detail, but like doing crazy stuff that I would have never guessed could even happen in a local high school. But is there something bigger happening? Are we condoning societal misbehaviors that are now leaking over? And so the kids are thinking this is a norm because they're seeing it on TikTok, they're seeing it on wherever. And so I don't know, I'm starting to wonder, do we need to address it even deeper than just to say, hey, slap on the wrist of the universities? When are we going to stand up as a society and say enough is enough? Let's have some kind of moral code and conduct that we hold our students responsible to, and we hold administrators to that same level, and even more so when they're teaching our kids. So that's really important, I think, for us to look at.
I think the discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amy. You can speak. Sorry.
No, I was going to speak to that from a female perspective and campus environments and the microcosm that you have on campus. It's something as a woman, we've always had issues with colleges and campuses being their own little unique place where, yes, they have codes of conduct and rules, but sometimes those rules and those systems were set up to protect the status quo and insulate what was happening at the university from more accountability on the outside of the university. So coming from a female perspective, that has been a huge issue as far as violence, inappropriate behavior, sexual assault, all kinds of horrible things that can happen. Being a mother of 3 daughters, it's a big concern. And I was there as a young woman myself quite a few moons ago, but still, it's not just something that happens in sports. It's not something that just happens to women. This is a bigger issue. But how we tackle it, how we address it, and how we hold people accountable is a real discussion to have, because sometimes the campus solution and the campus police and the campus way of doing things ends up giving people the wrong message that they can get away with hazing, that they can get away with violence, that they can get away with these problems because the university wants to protect its image and keep up that PR because of the money involved. And therefore, a lot of these things that in the real world people would be held accountable for get swept under the rug. And then those cancer behaviors continue and fester and then blow up later when they get too big to contain, right? But it's been a problem for decades when it comes to, women dealing with having to go to campus police and things happening and it not being taken seriously and not getting out to the outside and there being accountability.
That perspective is huge, right? And you're talking to 3 girl dads, right? So we echo exactly what you're saying right there. That's okay.
I like the part, and I love it. I was going to say the same thing: accountability. There's a lack of accountability when it comes to these infrastructures, to when situations come up. And the other part that I think none of us mentioned, but I think that needs to be mentioned is transparency. There needs to be a complete transparency when it comes to these situations.
Mm-hmm.
There is that they tell the story they want us to hear until somebody whistleblows it, or they tell the story, or leak the story they want to come out. Even when it comes to rules and administration and how things work, there's no transparency how we understand. I chat like schools like Stanford don't go through this, and they do go through it maybe a little bit, very microcosm, but they have an infrastructure that's there, that they have a preserved culture that they have. I know they had a rape case a while back about a student, but that was handled. The judgment dropped the ball on that, not the campus. The judge that sentenced that man dropped the ball on that one. But Stanford, Harvard, and I know there's a higher institutions, John Hopkins. Those universities have a really set structure when it comes to a lot of things because of their academia and the way they present things. I see schools that are a little less than that. It seems like that infrastructure loosens and loosens and loosens and loosens a lot more as we go down, and then we get to situations like this in these types of schools. And then now we're all poking the bear, like, where's the answers? What's going on?
Wow.
Okay, you suspended the basketball team. That's not enough. That is not enough for me. That is not enough. If that was my son being hazed, that's not enough. In that matter. If it was my relative that got shot by the other basketball player, it's not enough. Why didn't you do your due diligence on that young man before you brought him on this campus? Why wasn't the due diligence done by it? Is the university says it's not our fault, it's individuals. No, it is your fault. You're providing a structure in them in a way to get out of it, or to be able to live within it and do those things. The biggest case we had was Aaron Hernandez. The great Aaron Hernandez that played for the Patriots. His behavior was doing that in Florida. He was shooting at people in Florida. He's supposed to have killed 3 people in Florida. So the behavior is there. I don't know. Hey, Dr. Amy, you said the answer. It's got to be, and I say it all again, it's got to be peeled all the way back to the president of the school. And if he can't handle it, it needs to be peeled back to the NCAA. If they can't deal it, they need to bring somebody outside in to fix the issue. Because this is, like you said, a societal issue that is starting to fester in what we're supposed to be upper, higher class learning for our individuals to go out in the world.
I think too, when teams are having success, then people will look the other way because of the team's success, and they'll give an excuse, or they'll give a pass to the coaches, or oh, well, that's just them, that's just the way they are, and then it just keeps growing and growing if you let those things build up. But I think that sometimes the fanatic, part of us, loving our teams, loving our alma maters, loving our whether it's a pro team or college team or whatever it is, we get so caught up in the competitiveness of the sport that we'll look past the more important things, and you just can't do that. Like, there's some things are more sacred than just winning with the team. We got to look past just the success of the team and look at what's the development of these students. Are they going to grow? How are they going to grow up to be great human beings? And so, as a parent, when I send my kid off to school, that's what I want. I don't, we all have great high hopes for achievement, but we want them to be well-rounded young men and women. So I think that's getting lost.
That's a great point. Listen, you guys didn't think we were going to get into deep 201, 301 level kind of conversation. You thought we were just going to come on and talk.
Oh no, I was ready for this kind of level.
I love this. I love this conversation. I do want to be cognizant of time, though, and continue to get to where we talk about some of the other topics that matter. But the fact that we got into this, and folks, listen, the conversation's not over, right? Take action. Be due diligent in terms of staying in be aware of what's going on with your kids and in their schooling and things. Even if you don't have kids in school, listen, you're an aunt, or you're an uncle, you're a whatever, you're a cousin to someone who is in these institutions. So be attentive and be aware, and don't just be lazy. Find out what's going on, and as it was said, hold these people accountable. Cut these cancers out. Be the adults in the room. Be the one that actually questions authority. True. Right. Don't be afraid to debate. Don't be afraid to debate. Right. Be respectful, but don't be afraid to debate and have those conversations, especially when something is morally wrong. Something like this, and not like some of the other topics that we tend to talk about. Before we get, so Montel, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little quick pivot, man. Before we go into some of the other conversations and topics, I want to have Dr. Amy and Gordon talk about their perspective, businesses, and what they do, and the value that they bring. And then we'll probably talk a little bit about Super Bowl. Everybody wants to talk about Super Bowl. I saw Chief bring up about the Michigan State University tragedy. That is horrible. we're going to hold on that until we get some more concrete information. We know a little bit right now, but again, that is something that we typically will talk about here. But as the news cycle continues to evolve, we'll talk about that in our thoughts. We're tired of saying, but our thoughts and prayers to those folks, because thoughts and prayers without action can be void. But we're going to continue to track that story as well. Dr. Amy, talk to us about Intent Brands. Talk to us about this SLY Fox. Talk to us about what this beverage is and why.
Yeah.
Well, not just the beverage. Talk to us about the brand, why the brand, and the products that you offer, and why they should be paid attention to. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. So thank you for asking. So as I mentioned in the intro, coming from the ability to ask people questions and find out what's happening in somebody's life. That's what I do as a doctor, is find ways to make improvements. What can I do in a short period of time to help more people? And I really struggled myself with finding healthy functional beverages that use nootropics and healthy organic ingredients that are researched by the National Institute of Health and help us align with that sleep-wake cycle and do good things for you throughout the day. Terrible about drinking water, and I'm just going to raise my hand and say I'm a toddler. I just am the worst when it comes to taking care of myself. Sometimes I'm so busy as a doctor and as a mom taking care of other people that I wasn't taking good care of me. And my husband Tom was like, you've got to start drinking more water and be healthier. And I figured if I could take these really great ingredients, adaptogens and nootropics that work with your body and help you with mental and physical stress, help your body sleep better and relax. We're so go, go, go. We do so much with all this extra caffeine. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for your body, but there's better ways to energize and hydrate. There's really good, healthy ingredients that can help you relax, like valerian and chamomile and magnesium and biotin to rebuild. And in the learning over these past 2 decades, one of the biggest things that I found is that, people want something that feels good, tastes good, and when it's healthy, it should be good. It doesn't have to be boring and sciencey and all that stuff. The reason we love the Fox, reason we're SLY, is because we're sneaky good. SLY chill mango and chill citrus. It's kind of like I'm that mom that's like, this is really good for you, but I'm not going to tell you that because then you're going to like it and drink it. It's more along those lines, but these two drinks are the opposite of your, energy drinks that are out there that amp you up. These are the perfect complement to that to help you chill out, because these days that's what we need more of.
Yeah.
So we chose the Fox because it's a revered character all through Asia. It hits home with us, with fables as we're growing up with kids. And foxes are cool. They're cunning. They're clever. I mean, they're really smart. You always want to be that person that's kind of like, the smartest, most clever character that there can be. So we love the branding around SLY for that reason. But being healthy and awesome and amazing and tasting good doesn't have to be boring. It can be really fun.
Something, the team no sleep, SLY is going to help that, get you guys some sleep.
Yeah. Is that right? Okay, there we go. I was going to ask if I could use this as my pre-workout, right? If I could use this when I go hit the gym in about an hour, but okay.
When you're done, maybe.
Actually, that's a
Got you.
question. Yeah, when you're done, there's actually 3 product lines. So we have Boost that's coming out later this year, and that is perfect for focus and energy and pre-workout, if you will. We have Chill, which is our launch line in mango and citrus. And then we're very soon coming out with Dream, orange cream and vanilla. And that has melatonin to help you just sleep, because that's where all the magic happens. That's whether you're talking about eSports or sports, all your learning patterns don't get solidified in the brain until you sleep and you hit the right levels. If you're practicing on the court or on the field or in front of your controller, it doesn't matter how good and how hard you work if you don't make it stick. And the way that those, mind-body connections actually become solid is the magic of sleep. So when these kids are up late on screens, messing up their sleep-wake cycle, and then really not getting into the right melatonin production and only really sleeping for 3 or 4 hours because they've got to then get up the next morning, all that great learning goes out the window. So we really wanted to focus on where we could make the biggest impact, and that's chill and relaxation and helping us sleep better at night. So it's really a fun project for us.
See,
So it's a labor
I got
of
questions. No, I got questions.
Yeah,
I'm so, and Mantel, come on now. I know I'm thinking about me and my son. I'm thinking about you, and I'm thinking about your son, right? Just in his business, in his industry as a coach. So as gamers, right? Because my son is he would one of these fit kind of into that realm? And then I've already asked kind of the question about me as a nootropics for going to the gym and working on and using this as a healthier alternative to the pre-workouts that are just chock full of taurine and beta alanine, right? I mean, where and how do you make that healthier for you claim? Because I mean, this could be. I would love to see this at my local health food store, GNC, Whole Foods, wherever the case may be. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. So the way this came to be is my husband's friend, Doug Kennedy. He was the founder of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and his
hold on. See, there you go again. See, hold on. Okay. There you go again. Just dropping them on us like that. You know, we part of Team USA. And you know, now you know my partners, my husband's friend started Guitar Hero. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Seriously.
Okay. Let me sit up straight in the chair because you know we around some excellence.
You said A-team. You said you got the A-team.
That's true.
Here.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all.
You're not kidding. But no, really. He's our equity partner, and he's the one that came to us and said, you know, hey, I have issues with diabetes and heart issues, and I care about it because people have this ridiculous concept that gamers are drinking, you know, soft drinks and energy drinks and eating Cheetos and sitting in mom's basement, and that's not who gamers are at all. Not at all. And we wanted to really, you know, level that playing field and kind of get rid of that misperception out there and offer something that is different and healthy, because that's what we were hearing from gamers. So we did surveys. We went out through Reverb Communications. They launched Rocket League, Gordon, you know, for your tournament coming up this weekend, and PUBG. They've built like $4 billion global gaming brands worldwide, and they're one of our partners as well. Went out and surveyed these gamers and said, what is it that Beverage is getting wrong? Tell us what benefits you want, not what people are marketing to you, not what's on the shelf in front of you, but let's ask the actual people, you know, what is it that people are missing and have wrong about you? What benefits are you looking for? What can't you find? And we stripped everything down and started there. We listened. And so we created our formulations based on that feedback, saying we don't want caffeine. We really have plenty of carbonated stuff. We would like things that are not carbonated because it upsets the stomach. We want things that help us sleep better, help us focus, don't give us jitters. We don't really want any more caffeine in energy drinks. And they went to town on giving handwritten information and just let us have it and said, this is really what we're looking for. And we then brought them into the lab to create flavors. So it wasn't me sitting in a room, although that would have been cool, if we just brought, you know, the gamers in and let them, you know, at it at the lab and sat there and just created flavors together. So it was really a labor of love that came from Doug. It was his vision, where he said, I want you to apply what you've learned about circadian rhythm and circadian beverages, which I developed, and take that concept and apply it to gamers and athletes, because we need sleep-wake cycle to work in our favor if we want to perform at our best and enjoy the experience, which is really why we're all here. You know, it's not just about the work and the performance. It's also about enjoying what we do. And that's why we create the beverages like SLY that we've created.
That's cool. Montel, I got the question, but it's for you. But I don't know if you are going to ask it or not. But I want to know, can your son use this with his team? Right. I mean, because you mentioned about athlete and is athlete approved, right? And again, there's nothing that's going to spike on a drug test or anything. This is definitely not the Red Bulls. This is definitely not the Bangs or the Monsters, because that's all garbage. It really is. No. And I shouldn't have said that. We'll probably never get a sponsorship from.
No,
I'm just gonna go off camera. Hold on.
What I like about what you're saying is like it's a more of a recovery drink. So after they do which my son, they do their 5 a.m. workouts.
Mm-hmm.
They do need something to recover and replenish their body and get themselves back in, and get themselves back focused on class. This would be a perfect opportunity for them to kind of try. I would love for them to be able to have an opportunity to try something like this, and get their feedback and all that good stuff to say does it work, because they're football players, so they try in on a really kind of a different regimen than everybody else. More very weight oriented, as well as plyos and some other things. I would love to see how this works with them, and particularly like my son. Like I said, I would love to see how we can figure something out and get them, there and rock with it and see what it goes. And if they can't get the team, at least just get my son to try something.
There you go. That's all we're worried about. That's all we're worried about.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I'm I try to take good care of myself. The older we get, the more we realize, 2 grams of sugar, no more than that. No, 10 calories or less. That's all we need. Don't give me preservatives. Don't give me chemicals. Don't give me junk. Just clean. And that's why we got picked up by Team USA. And actually, there's some funny stories there with our prototype product. We had Arizona Cardinals coaches and players asking my husband to smuggle drinks into their training camp because they have a deal with somebody else. And they're like, we really love what you guys make, but we have a deal with somebody else. Can you bring us to the hotel? And the same thing happened with some of the Suns. I mean, we were getting calls from brand managers of players, and I thought it was a joke. They had found us on shelf, and I thought it was a joke. And I get this call from a brand manager, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I'm up in New York, and, we found your brand, and so-and-so would like you to, come to their personal residence and drop off product. And then I went, whoa. I sat up in my seat there too.
Exclusive right here on Team No Sleep, folks. This is being recorded, so they're listening, right? The Suns and the Cardinals are probably
I'm not using names. I'm not using names. But it's true. Look, people care about what they put in their bodies, and athletes care. Has to be WADA compliant. That was one of our requirements for our formulations, is that it has to be, can't have anything that's going to trip anti-doping, all natural ingredients, and using things like ashwagandha. It's really, really good for stress, really good for body balance and recovery, but not anything that is unhealthy for us. And whether you're a gamer, which I consider an athlete, if you're an eSports player, people don't realize how intense, how many calories are burned, the focus that you have to do. It's physical and mental energy that you are burning for hours and days on end. It's really important for us to fuel up right in a way that serves us, not just for the short term, but for the long term. And, that's really what we're all about.
This is that we found such synergy with SLY at CESI, because we have a whole mission to help with healthy eating, healthy appetite, healthy diets for the student athletes involved in our esports competitions. And SLY was a natural fit for us to kind of introduce just this amazing product. And I think refreshing is the word. Everywhere we were introducing it, just this last week at the Super Bowl, you should have seen the response of everybody. Was like, oh, I want that can. What is that? That tastes good. Like within seconds, it was like wildfire, just going everywhere. So very impressive what SLY has done. And we're very excited to do more and more with SLY, because that healthy component of esports is, I think, going to take it to another level, especially at the collegiate level, where people start understanding that these kids are serious, they're focused, they're on a mission. That kind of fits with where the esports industry is going, instead of, like you said, the junk food, sitting in mom's basement or whatever. That whole stereotype is getting thrown out the window.
I love that. So that's a perfect segue. And Amy, good softball throw to Gordon there. We will get back to it in just a second, but folks, I will put the link in the description, drinkonthesly.com, for the SLY products and everything that they offer and that they got coming. So now, Gordon, again, that synergy and how this union worked out and got together. And I'd also be interested to know about esports as a whole, as an industry, where it is today and where you think it's going kind of in the short and midterm, right? And how your organization, CESI, is involved in that, especially at the collegiate level. So not just esports as a general, but again, we've all got kids in school, and we're highly focused on the school side, the education side. How is esports within collegiate education actually evolving, and what part do you play in your organization?
Yeah, I have to say, so the way CESI started was that we were doing courses on education for global trade with one of my other companies in Shanghai and all over China. And we were doing courses for UCLA, talking about sports and entertainment. And I asked the professor, I'm like, hey, you gotta add a chapter about esports, because the growth in esports has just taken off. And the more we started looking into it and talking about it, we started getting excited about the synergies between what's happening in esports and traditional sports, just from the competitive nature of it. And then looking at what was going on at the college scene, we realized that almost every major campus in America now has an esports team. Every major university has a team. They're not always getting the support they need from administration. They're not always able to get the fundraising, to get the support. And these are some of the brightest minds, some of the brightest young people you'll ever meet. They're leaders in their classrooms. They're able to put servers together. They're able to organize. These are all skills that Fortune 500 companies are seeking. And so it just kind of dawned on us that, hey, we need to elevate the collegiate esports to another level. There's great activity already happening in the esports world, but nobody's really elevating the competition to what we think it should be. So CESI decided to take that on, and we originally partnered with the Sacramento Kings and the Kingsguard Gaming in Sacramento to do an event at the Golden One Center, and it was a huge hit. Like we immediately saw a number of universities coming from all over the country to do a tournament with us. We did 2 games this last year, League of Legends and Rocket League. We had over 22 universities in just a year and a half's time. We're the largest preseason tournament in the nation for collegiate esports, and that just showed us the power of bringing these students together for what they love, which is their passion for gaming. But then they start talking about, where they want to work and what industries they want to go in, whether it's broadcasting, whether it's digital marketing, whether it's the setup side. Not everybody's going to go on to be a pro esports professional to play for 100 or FaZe Clan or whatever. Those are all great dreams. But right now, what's happening in esports is that the collegiate scene is kind of getting pushed aside because kids are coming right out of high school going pro. They're so fast and they're quick. So a lot of times the whole collegiate scene is completely getting ignored when there's all this great activity happening. There's a lot of great competition happening. And we're like, there needs to be a synergy between the pro, the college, and the high school levels. And we're trying to help build that ecosystem by putting on tournaments and events, but then also adding the element of education to that. And the health and wellness is part of that education that we talk about. And that's what CESI is all about. It's really taking the love and passion for esports and showing that this is a $198 billion industry globally. And so there's so much opportunity for students to live out their dream and their passion. Like, so whether it's production, whether it's game design, whether it's, logistics and event planning, just myself, I'm having a blast. And I like a second part of my career here, working in esports. I've actually got to work with pro athletes in China, representing the likes of Canyon Barry, Rick Barry's son, playing on our team in Hunan. And I got to live out some of my dreams. And I want these young people to get those experiences, to live out their passion when it comes to esports.
Love it. Montel, what gaming system you got? You know anything about this? You know how to play?
Come on.
Yeah. You know about the. Yeah, I'm an old Nintendo guy, so I
no. I mean, I'm from the Atari 2600 days, but I mean, I didn't revolutionize to the PS5.
I'm trying to get a scholarship. No.
It's funny that you guys talk about this, is because in my company, my old company I worked with, I developed a program for us to attract younger engineers and younger career people by developing a rodeo show of gaming. Because I work for Western Digital. We have the black drive. That's one of the fastest hard drives. We utilize with gaming to attract potential people to work in the company. Because we said if they sign up for this, they want to participate in this. At that point, we can cross-market that brand with the gaming, with WD Black, and what we're going on and how it's effective with gaming and how it goes in order to attract a younger audience. So it all goes hand in hand. Gaming is a part of the future, I think. Not only in just being competitive, but also just in the nature of getting into the world of technology. It's like
we have a mission to educate the parents, because a lot of times parents see those old stereotypes of just playing video games as a waste of time, but they don't understand that a lot of these kids are passionate about the in-depth nature of where gaming has gone is way beyond just the old consoles, right?
Yeah.
Because they're getting on Discord, they're communicating with people all over the globe, in countries like all over. And you'll ask the students in a room to raise their hand, how many of you have organized games with other countries? And the whole room will raise their hand. And you're like,
wow,
gosh, these are global citizens. They're doing big stuff, and gaming is that connecting point. It's almost like a way to bridge, these different relationships, because they're comfortable in these environments. We saw that during the pandemic. So many students were going online to get their relief because of their stress, and that was their escape. And so how do we make that healthy for them and take the passion and love that they have for gaming and help to educate and bring that into their life so they can apply it towards a job or towards a life goal that they might have? So that's what we try to share, all those experiences and opportunities.
Gordon,
Hey,
that's such a
no, go ahead, Amy. I'm sorry. Just
I
want
just
to
think
comment
Gordon,
before we go to the next story, and then one comment.
yeah,
Go ahead, Amy.
it
I'm
was
sorry.
such a great point. And I just wanted to do a shout out, again, for our friend Doug, because he set us straight as parents. After the pandemic, my daughter's a gamer. She loves playing, Fortnite and Overwatch, and that's just what she does. And we were worried about too much time gaming, and he kind of said, wait a second, do you understand what opportunities actually are there and what your kids are learning? And then I started researching it, the National Institute of Health, and learning more about the power of decision making, what happens in the brain, what's happening between hand-eye coordination. And they're actually beginning to use gaming, and it's not just gaming, it's actually gaming that's more fast-paced, some of the first person shooter games as well too, that actually elevate performance, almost like rehabilitation. These kids think better. These are your STEM skills and your STEM kids. Of course, corporations and businesses want to foster that. But I think the real cool story that my husband and I were just talking about was I think some of the Chiefs, Juju Smith-Schuster is a big gamer, and so is Kelsey. And there was an article that came out that they were actually doing a lot of gaming outside of practice, and how that was helping them on the field as far as their connective, relationship. It's amazing. I mean, so gaming does a lot more for how we kind of work together and build community, whether it's through our work, through academics, through sports. It's just a great bridge. And that's why it's so cool to work with people like Gordon and to be, here with you guys today too. I just think it's just amazing to see how sports and gaming overlap like that.
I love it. Again, it's almost like you've done this before, because that little segue into the next story, which was about the Super Bowl. I mean, I did share with you to run the show. Never mind. Okay.
We actually read it.
Okay, you read it and did your research, but I mean, this is really interesting information, because again, when we assume and we don't know, and so I'll start with the drink for SLY. I mean, the SLY beverages. You only hear of those brands that I mentioned, right? The Monsters and the Bangs and the Red Bull, the ones that are just chock full of just artificial this, that, and the other, as opposed to something that's actually built, designed, recommended, formulated by doctors for athletes, for recovery, for performance, for all the right things. Right. This is definitely where we want to steer to. Now, where can folks get SLY, or is it just on your website, or can I go to Amazon? Can I go to, again, my Whole Foods or Nugget, Safeway, that kind of thing? Where can we get SLY today?
Right now, you can get it online at drinkonthesly.com.
Okay.
However, because of our partnerships in gaming, we are getting very close to launching some special announcements and some very innovative ways where SLY can pretty much show up at your doorstep after you've been playing a game or during a game within about 40 minutes, because we believe that healthy products should come straight to you and you shouldn't have to wait for them. So there's, leveraging technology. There's some really cool things that are right around the corner, but we haven't set out that press release just yet. I'll make sure that I let you know ahead of time.
Because you can't just drop that nugget right there. I can just see right now, I'm getting ready to fire up the game. I see our boy Tall Boy in here. He's a PS5 guy, and if he puts an order in and like 30 minutes later, I don't know, a drone shows up, or a Grubhub somebody, I don't know who, because I haven't been privy to, but just shows up right before he's ready to play. Come on now.
Exactly.
You're
Yep.
just
Or
gonna
even
leave that there,
brewing.
right? You're just gonna leave that right there out there. And
Hey, there's a lot of intersection here between our digital world and our physical world. And innovative, creative people find out ways to make people happy as quickly as possible. So that's what we do.
Damn, son.
hold on, I'm just gonna marinate on that. Okay, there we go. So drinkonthesly.com is that, and Gordon, your website CESI eSports. No,
esports.com.
CESI, yeah, esports.com. I'll have all the links in the description as well. Let me ask this before we go on talking about the game. CESI, where do you go out and find affiliates, associates, things that are you recruiting and having conversations at the collegiate level? Are you or recruiting folks that come in? How do you gain the momentum that you have? Or is it just you going out and the push, or are you pulling information as well, I guess?
Yeah, well, both. What we work with a lot of different colleges and universities, and even at the high school level, because we are giving out a lot of scholarships to students coming out of high school, so they can go on to a great university to play esports. But also that's a segue to them getting an education. So we got some great things on the horizon too with some events we're doing. We're going to be running the competition at the California State Fair this year in California.
Wow.
So we have the Bear Cup of esports that we're going to do for both colleges and high schools at that competition. And there will be opportunities like this weekend where we're going to have high schools and colleges interacting, and it becomes like a college fair experience where they get to meet other college students for some of these high schoolers, and they can look to see what they have to look forward to in going to a certain university. They can learn about the schools. Every one of these colleges and universities have things that they specialize in, whether it's broadcasting or whether it's the game design. UC Irvine and UCLA and UNLV and Sac State, UC Davis. These are the teams that are competing in our events, and they all have great offerings and different things on the technology side that students are interested in. So we use our events to kind of create those opportunities to share what they can experience if they go on to whatever school it is that they want to go to. And it does become a college fair type of environment. It's very exciting to see them get excited about learning that they can do something that they love even when they get into college, and they can find a safe place to belong. And having a daughter in college right now, you've experienced this too, James. I know, just our kids go off to school and they're in a strange environment, and it's hard for a lot of them to fit in or to find their peer network. This is a great segue for a lot of students to have a comfort level before they even get into school. Like, they know that there's a club there that they can get involved with, people that are passionate about what they're passionate about. And we see that the great schools doing that are actually putting good teams together are building that camaraderie. And so we're trying to encourage that and come behind the clubs on campus and try to get them administrative support, try to get them faculty support, try to get them sponsors and fundraising tools. So we're more than just putting on the events. We're trying to set up the universities for success, and we want to help build the clubs.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, Montel, don't you know someone who has like an all-star football game in San Diego who could probably talk to both of these organizations? Maybe we'll have that conversation offline. I'm just throwing that out there in the atmosphere. I love it. Listen, before we go out, so you were being asked, Amy, is it hard to get SLY in the grocery stores, just from a distribution perspective? That question came up from the community.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a, well, I have to watch my language here because this is
Watch
a
out
family.
now. Yeah, listen, we everywhere.
This is family. There's if you want to think of some of the bigger brands can be perceived as the big bad wolves in the world, and they love to see innovative small brands just never see the light of day, and that's we don't want to step on their toes and their turf, and they have a lot of power. So you have to be crafty. You have to be scrappy, and when you believe in something and you're passionate about it, you find common ground with other people who believe in what you're doing and share the same passion and purpose that you do, just like how we came across CSI and other partners like Player X and Fit Gamer. So it's very hard to get into those grocery stores. The classic old ways of doing things in beverage are very well set. So you need a lot of money and a lot of people to get on shelf, and that isn't enough. It's not enough to just be there in a grocery store. People need to have a reason to pick you up, to enjoy you and find you. And when we're talking about really helping players, then we need to be where the players are. Some of them will be in the grocery store, but if we can find a way to get directly to the people who benefit the most from our product, it's not mass production at every grocery store right off the bat. It's very, very expensive to do that. As a new beverage, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars just to walk in the door of those types of stores on a large scale. So just take some creativity, if you will. And someday when you align with those larger companies and they see you, learn about you, and find common ground with you, they can then bring your distribution to a greater presence because they actually want you there. So it's almost like you have to learn how to play nice and be a friend rather than a foe to those larger companies. And that's how that distribution then ends up being a win-win for everyone involved, rather than like, my nickname is Pound for Pounds. I'm 5 feet tall, but I'm a firecracker, and I'd love to go toe to toe with those big brands and say I'm coming. But I also realize that I am 5 feet tall. So you have to play nice and make friends first, and that's always a better way to grow as a company.
I love it. Love it. Thank you for answering that question. All right, we have a game or something. We had game Sunday. I was gonna say we had a concert. We had Rihanna's show, and wrapped around that, I think some guys played a football game. Did anybody get a chance to see any of those two events this Sunday?
Was it Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Oompa Loompas?
Man, if you had said something like the Puppy Bowl or something, I was gonna kick you off the stream immediately. You'd be banned from ever coming back on.
No, I have to say, I was actually at Dr. Tom and Dr. Amy's house watching the beginning of the game. I had to leave to go take a friend to the airport, so I missed the halftime show. So I can't even really comment on that part other than what I've seen in the replay. But man, I missed that part of it. But
get your priorities right, man. Get your priorities right. Okay.
Gordon, I did have Kansas City by 3. I just want you to know that I have the evidence of that piece of paper.
Let's see the bookie sheet. I was gonna say, let's see the bookie sheet, right? I mean,
the coolest part though was we were in Dr. Amy's backyard, and the flyover, you could hear the jet right over the backyard. Cool. That was pretty cool.
It was awesome.
That's cool. All female Navy pilot flyover for the first time. That was pretty cool. I mean, a lot of storylines, right? And Montel and I get into these storylines a lot. Just for when was the first black coaches that were coaching. This time that were 2 black quarterbacks, and wondering will this be the last time we have to have that conversation, right? Because the black quarterback is now so commonplace. But that story, and then the Kelsey brothers and the Kelsey parents, that whole lot of storylines around that. I have a problem with. I have a problem with Patrick Mahomes because he's just too good. I have a problem, and I say this a lot. And again, we'll probably never get a sponsorship from Kansas City because he just plays the game like he's out in the backyard, right? So shouts out to Patrick Mahomes and everything that he's done. It was a good game, that last call, and I'm gonna put it to Montel because I know he was probably yelling and screaming as well, that interference call.
Eagles.
What we gonna do, man? They called, was it a PI, right?
They messed up. They messed up.
Yeah,
they messed up. I don't think a game like that of that magnitude should be left in the referee's hands, right? To give them that place. Don't get me wrong. You could say it's a penalty, but it didn't reroute him. He still was able to run the route. When he tried to turn it up, he grabbed him again. But that goes on every play and on every snap. Kansas City fans will be like, "Oh, it was a thing." I'm gonna be like, "That's the kind of call you don't make on that, and let the game play out itself." But beyond that I didn't like the call. The game was epic. I thought Jalen Hurts proved everybody wrong, and his storyline is greater than everybody's because he was the one that no one could believe he could ever be at this position, and he was out dueling who's supposed to be the greatest quarterback in the game today. So I think that was a great thing. I think Philadelphia has nothing to hold their head down. I think they played well. Congratulations to Kansas City. I'm still baffled by Eric Bieniemy. How come he's not a head coach and not getting any jobs? or any offers, under that branch. But otherwise, I mean, the NFL did a great job. I think I was like everybody else at halftime, wondering if Rihanna was pregnant or not, because it looked like she was pregnant, and it turns out she was.
Come to find out, yep.
Otherwise,
it's an epic game unless on your football squares you need that touchdown and he slides right before the end zone. That hurt.
Yeah.
You sound like you're speaking from experience there, Corey.
Yeah. But as far as the game is concerned, I thought the game was played pretty actually well. I mean, I don't think there was a penalty in the first quarter. No penalties. Yeah. They played a really good game. I thought for the NFL put on a really, really good event. And this is the first time I've ever said they don't really have nothing to be bad of. They actually put on a really well played event. It was good, great competition, great halftime, decent pregame, and everything else afterward was great. I had to go off to Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They did it again.
Yeah, I will say, even though I give Mahomes a hard time just because he's so darn good, I liked in the post-conference that he gave Jalen Hurts some props. He gave him his flowers and said, if there's anyone who's ever doubted this guy and the work ethic that he puts in, please let that be over. Right? He had that fumble for pick six. Touchdown, right? Yeah. So they scored off of his drop, but he came back, ran the ball in, and scored. So really just never showed any emotion that it was over him or that the game was too big. I see Tall Boy saying that, we kind of need to talk about the fact that it was about the two black quarterbacks. But again, I think that's now become a point that the majority of quarterbacks playing in the NFL today are black quarterbacks. Right. We no longer have Tom. Well,
not majority. We're not majority.
I'm going to say the higher level ones, right? Lamar's pretty darn good. Mahomes is number one. Jalen Hurts is number two. Why am I saying two? And I don't know what's going on. But from the top tier level, right? We really got some
great quarterbacks
representation at that level. Yeah, again, at the captain level, at the one who's under center, at the one who's running all the plays. I mean, it's great to see, and it's a good story to tell. But hopefully, that story is now becoming more common as opposed to abnormal.
I agree. It's a common lane now that we have. Black men are the franchise player, right? Because the quarterback is the franchise player of the team. But we still have a long way to go. We still have a lot more acceptance within the front office. And still some teams are hesitant to let us lead their teams, even if we're the better player. It's just kind of what you want and what you're designed about. I think, all of them are just special athletes. They're very great athletes, and they all deserve to be on the field and have an opportunity to play. It's just that we have some coaches and owners that have different stigmas about different players.
Yeah.
Kind of just the way it is. But you're right. I think now that we've had two black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, we've had these black quarterbacks that are MVP. We had all these great quarterbacks. That shouldn't be a topic for conversation anymore. We're 150. I mean, we're so long in future. In future, we shouldn't be having that conversation. Why it should be just two talented athletes playing, and the highlight of black shouldn't have to come out of it. Yeah. But unfortunately, it does because we still live in a racist and sexist society. We just do, and people don't want to acknowledge it. But we do.
There was a woman coaching. Wasn't on the Eagle side. There was a woman coach on the Eagle side.
I think she's a strength and conditioning coach. I don't think she's a coach.
Okay.
I say she's not a coach. I think she's more in the nutrition, strength and conditioning side. I might be mistaken. I think that was her.
They trying to do better.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had two of them. They had two when they won the Super Bowl. So that's not. I mean, but we shouldn't be groundbreaking about gender and sex. I mean, gender and race. When it comes to these events.
We beyond that.
Show now the parent side of me is going to come out. Sorry guys, but I can't handle the crotch grab in front of my 10-year-old. Like what's that? That was it's always something. There's always one of those moments where it's like totally inappropriate. Like, come on, we have to.
There was that. Okay, I saw. Okay. I saw it as well, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what's going on? What's going on, Reed? You're not at the Barbados. You're not at a regular concert, but
Hold up. Do we have the same thing? Do we say the same thing about Michael Jackson? Because there was a lot of crotch grabbing that would go on there. So
I do because Mike he always okay.
I mean, I think we can all do without it, but there's, I think there's dance moves that, are always a little bit more suggestive, but it did catch my attention. And then I kind of went,
You saw it too. Like, it was like,
Oh, I don't know. That one was a little over the top.
yeah.
It was more than that, but I'll keep it PG.
That's all good. You know what? We'll put the explicit tag on the stream. So I'll ask about those commercials though before we close though. So we talked about the game, great game, decent game. Rihanna's concert was pretty nice. Them commercials though.
No, for me the benchmark
terrible.
1984. Remember the 84 commercials were incredible.
Yeah.
Like I always hold everything to that standard. I don't think we've had. A couple years ago, we had some good ones with the Cheetos commercials. Those were good, but I don't know. It's gone downhill a little bit on the commercial side.
It costs too much. I mean, Sly, do you have a budget to go ahead and pitch a commercial on Super Bowl? Because I know
I'm going to have to do crowdfunding just for that. That's a great idea. Huge crowdfunding campaign.
Well, next year, Team No Sleep will be in Vegas for the Super Bowl. So if you guys have a joint commercial during the Super Bowl, we'll go. We'll do something. I don't know. First round of Sly on us. I don't know. We'll figure something. Right? I don't know. We'll figure that out. Right?
Come up with something.
Awesome. I tell you what. Let me bring this last question up. Maybe instead of musical guest Super Bowl halftime, how about interactive gaming by all watching at halftime? So there we go. There's a plug for Gordon and the team right there. And the beverage of choice, obviously, is Sly.
I love you guys, Gordon and Amy, but you guys might get pregame and maybe some of the week's festivities. But that halftime is not coming to gaming, unfortunately, not just yet. That's just the reality of it. But I mean, I think
you can get an entertainer inside a Fortnite world and have everybody be able to join in the metaverse. How about that?
Yeah,
you can do the metaverse. Yeah, absolutely. But
we'll bring Mr. Beast in with us. We'll collaborate with Mr. Beast or something.
Nice.
I got one better. How come you guys don't collaborate with the NFLPA and for their college All-Star game and the program have a gaming competition against those? Because all those players play games.
Oof.
I mean, that way you guys are involved with
just turn it around on you.
So if they're still in college, they still kind of fall under your moniker a bit of college sports. Have them play a gaming tournament, and the winners can play televised in the whatever against a pro, an NFL guy. I think that would be very marketable and be able to do.
I like that. I would like to bring back Bruno Mars and then have a competition leading up to the Super Bowl where you get to dance with Bruno Mars in the metaverse on the screen at the Super Bowl while he's live on stage. How about something like that? That'd be cool.
I said bring Tupac back.
Attention
Tupac and
right
Biggie,
there.
you got me sold. I said you bring Tupac and Biggie in the metaverse and we're good.
Yeah, bring a hologram. Bring the holograms of Pac and Biggie, and we'll make. Oh my God!
In Houston at the Super Bowl, and I think it was the Patriots and the Atlanta, and that show was incredible, man. I don't think I ever seen a band move like that in person. Incredible.
That is too cool. Listen, folks, this has been an amazing show. All right, we had some experts on here, Mr. Allen on here as well, keeping me out of trouble. Dr. Amy and Gordon Hinkle, appreciate you guys. Right, what you're doing is you're doing the good work as well. Thank you for also spending time and going over some of those tough conversations and those stories that we like to cover and getting your perspective on that. It was really, really rewarding to hear your perspective on some of those. Again, I will make sure that your links are in the description for everyone to go check you guys out. And then they will also be in the syndicated audio podcast. We're going to push that out as well. So again, thank you very much for that time and for that information. And anything in closing that either of you wanted to say as well?
Yeah, just say come out and see us here in Vegas. We're at the Level Up Expo, and if you want to come out and see the competition, you can see it live and enjoy seeing the students in action. But also, there's an amazing show going on here for the next 3 days. But keep a lookout for us, and we're going to be coming to a city near you, and hopefully with Sly by our side.
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you and, keep up the great work because social impact is so important to all of us and brings us together. So these conversations really are enjoyable and have meaning. And I'm just full of gratitude. So thank you.
Thank you as well. Montel, take us home, brother.
Yeah. I mean, like I always say, everyone be comfortable having the uncomfortable conversations to have conversation and talk about the things that's going on in this world. Everyone Thank you, Dr. Amy. Thank you, Gordon. I would love, and officially, I'd love to invite you guys back. Like, in the near future, definitely when we start talking about other things that involve with gaming, the social impact with gaming, the things that go along with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's talk about all of it and get into the conversation. I think that'll be a great show to be able to have as well in the near future.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool.